미디어 심리학 12주 3차 강의를 시작하겠습니다. 챕터 12는 사회심리학입니다. 사람들은 정합성 추구 동기를 갖고 있습니다. 기업들은 정보를 줌으로써 사람들의 선택에 영향을 주려고 합니다. 이 기업은 2억 개가 팔렸다는 것을 선전함으로써 많은 사람이 자기네 햄버거를 사고 있다는 것을 알려주려고 하는 것입니다. 당신도 그 사람들처럼 하라고 암시하고 있는 것입니다. 인간은 정확성에 대한 동기를 갖고 있습니다. 태도는 우리가 무엇을 해야 하는지 말해주고 신념은 우리에게 그것을 어떻게 할 것인가를 말해줍니다. 태도, attitude는 어떤 사물이나 사건에 대해 일관성 있게 갖고 있는 긍정적 혹은 부정적 평가입니다. 신념, belief는 어떤 사물이나 사건에 대해 갖고 있는 일관성 있는 지식입니다. 정보적 영향, informational influence는 다른 사람의 행동이 무엇이 좋은 것인가 또는 맞는 것인가에 대한 정보를 제공해 주는 것이기 때문에 사람의 행동에 영향을 줄 때 일어납니다. 설득, persuasion은 한 사람의 태도나 신념이 다른 사람과의 의사소통에 의해서 영향을 받아 변화되는 현상입니다. 체계적 설득, systematic persuasion은 이성에 대한 호소가 일으키는 태도나 신념에서의 변화입니다. 방편적 설득, heuristic persuasion은 습성이나 감정에 대한 호소가 일으키는 태도나 신념에서의 변화입니다. 말을 듣는 청자가 열심히 증거를 고찰하고 주장을 분석하는가는 설득에 중요한 영향을 줍니다. 사람들은 새로운 사실의 정확성을 이전의 사실과 일관성이 있는가를 진단해 봄으로써 평가합니다. 문간의 발 들여놓기 기법은 foot in the door 테크닉이라고 하는데 사람이 갖고 있는 일관성에 대한 욕구를 사용해서 그 사람의 행동에 영향을 주는 방법입니다. 인지 부조와 cognitive dissonance는 자신의 행동, 태도, 신념 간에 불일치가 있음을 인식할 때 발생하는 불편한 심기 상태입니다. 태도나 신념을 변경해서 불안을 경감시킵니다. 비일관성이 정당화될 수 있습니다. 인지 부조와 관련한 고전적으로 잘 알려진 실험이 있습니다. 관련 동영상을 보겠습니다.
The psychological story of decision making doesn't end, however, when a decision has been made. The act of making a decision can trigger a flood of other processes. According to psychologist Leon Festinger, whenever we choose to do something that conflicts with our prior beliefs, feelings, or values, a state of cognitive dissonance is created in us, a tension between what we think and what we do. When this tension makes us uncomfortable enough, we're motivated to reduce it in a number of ways. We may change the way we think about the decision, or try to change how others think about it so that they can support our decision. Or we may change some aspect of our behavior so that our decision seems more in character with us. In other words, we try to reduce the dissonance between how we think we should act and how we actually act by changing one or the other. In the mid-50s, Leon Festinger and his colleague Merrill Carlsmith conducted a classic experiment in which students were engaged in very boring tasks. The students were then given a request by one of Festinger's staff.
Okay, that's fine. Let me tell you now what we're actually studying here. It's the effect of preparatory mental set on performance. The rest of the subjects are prepared by being told that the experiment will be very interesting and enjoyable. In fact, lots of fun. Now I have a somewhat unusual request to make of you. The next subject is waiting right outside, but the fellow who ordinarily gives the spiel isn't here. I wonder if you could possibly take his place. As a matter of fact, we figure we'll be needing someone in the future, so I'd like to offer you a $20 retainer and have you remain on call for us. Would that be all right?
$20? That'd be fine.
Half the students were randomly assigned to the group that received $20 for lying that the experiment was fun. The other half were given only $1 for lying.
Dollar as a sort of a retainer and have you remain on call with us. Would that be all right with you?
Yes, that'll be all right.
The cognitive dissonance came from the knowledge that the experiment was in fact boring, and $1 was insufficient reward for lying. Many of the $1 subjects actually convinced themselves that the experiment was fun after they made their decision. to reduce the dissonance between their prior beliefs and their behavior. They came to believe a big lie for a small incentive.
To a girlfriend of mine who participated in an experiment last week, and she said it was very tedious.
Oh, I don't think that was the same experiment because this one wasn't boring at all. I didn't think so.
The $20 subjects, on the other hand, felt no dissonance because they felt comfortable in lying just for the money.
He said it was pretty miserable and that I should do everything I could to get out of it. Well, I think maybe your friend was wrong. Perhaps it's a different experiment because this was a lot of fun. It appeared to me as if it were a puzzle. We had to turn these knobs, and I tried to figure out what we were doing it for, but I really couldn't figure it out. Perhaps she'll have better luck.
Other theories might predict that the man who is paid most would have the highest motivation for enthusing over the dull task and would be most sold on it himself. Cognitive dissonance theory leads to an exactly opposite prediction. The man who is paid $20 knows that the task is dull, but he also knows that he had sufficient justification for saying that it wasn't. Did you enjoy working on the manual test?
Well, it really wasn't too enjoyable. In fact, it was rather boring.
How about the man who is paid $1? He knows the task is dull, but he has two discrepant thoughts. He also knows that he did not have sufficient justification for saying that it wasn't. For him, there is dissonance. Time after time, we have seen what follows. He reduces the dissonance by changing his opinion about the dullness of the task. Did you enjoy working on the manual test?
Yes, I enjoyed it.
Would you like to participate in such an experiment again?
Yes, I think I would like to.
Anytime there is insufficient reward, there will be dissonance. The general principle seems to be that people come to believe in and to love the things they have to suffer for.
By discovering how people actually behave and not how some theory says they ought to behave, psychology can provide guidelines to help us catch ourselves before we go astray, or redirect us once we do, if we follow them.
다음은 self-perception, 자기인지가 cognitive dissonance, 인지 부조화를 어떻게 가져올 수 있는지 설명을 듣도록 하겠습니다.
Self-perception theory suggests that individuals form attitudes by evaluating behavior, meaning that our attitudes don't shape our behavior shapes our attitudes. When we behave a certain way that violates some kind of implicitly or explicitly held belief, we experience cognitive dissonance, a state of psychological discomfort arising from having two or more differing attitudes, beliefs, or cognitions. These attitudinal inconsistencies are uncomfortable, and so people are motivated to decrease them. Since we can't always change our behaviors, the actions in question may have already happened, we wind up changing our attitudes or beliefs instead. Related to cognitive dissonance is impression management theory, which argues that people will lie about their attitudes to appear as though their actions are consistent with their beliefs.
우리는 미디어로부터 끊임없이 설득을 받고 있습니다. 광고에서의 설득과 영업에서의 설득을 통해서 설득에 대해서 알아보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 광고에서의 설득입니다. 이 회사는 자신의 자동차가 안전하다는 체계적 설득을 하고 있습니다. 체계적 설득과 방편적 설득은 오랫동안 광고의 두 주요 요소였습니다. 상품의 가격이 비쌀수록 사람들은 그것을 살 것인가 말 것인가에 대해서 판단 근거를 찾으려고 합니다. 반면에 신발 광고에서는 유명 인사를 쓰는 것이 효과를 볼 수 있습니다. 자동차는 비교적 비싼 상품이라 사람은 자동차에 대한 정보를 얻으려고 동기화됩니다. 품질과 가격에 대한 사실에 의해서 설득됩니다. 신발은 비교적 싼 상품이기 때문에 신발에 관한 정보를 얻으려는 동기가 자동차보다는 강하지 않습니다. 최근에는 디지털 미디어 기술의 발전으로 미디어의 형태가 다양해졌기 때문에 체계적 설득과 휴리스틱을 사용한 방편적 설득을 미디어 포맷에 따라서 함께 사용할 수 있습니다. 여기서 설득의 의미를 정리하고 영업에서의 설득 기술을 소개하는 동영상을 보겠습니다.
Attitudes can also be changed by persuasion. the process of changing an attitude towards something through communication from an external source. There are two main strategies used to persuade others: the central route and the peripheral route. The central route of persuasion is a direct route to attitude or behavior change that uses logic, data, and facts to convince people to make a certain choice. It works best when the target of persuasion is likely to focus on the information presented and evaluate it carefully. The peripheral route of persuasion is an indirect route to attitude or behavior change that uses a large number of superficial arguments. It's an effective approach when the target of persuasion is not likely to put deep thought into decision-making. The attitude changes in response to the central route tend to be more long-lasting than those caused by peripheral persuasion. In marketing, effective sales and persuasion techniques use social psychology principles to influence people's choices. For example, the foot in the door technique is a technique where the persuader gets a person to agree to a small action and then follows up with a request for a larger action. The opposite strategy is the door in the face technique, in which the persuader makes an excessive demand and then follows it up with a comparatively reasonable request. Another technique is the lowball technique, in which a person is persuaded to agree to an attractive offer and then feels obligated to honor the agreement even when the terms change. Although persuasive techniques can seem pervasive, it is possible to resist them. Being aware of persuasive tactics can reduce one's susceptibility to them. The inoculation effect occurs when people decrease their susceptibility to persuasion through exposure to positions that challenge their beliefs. By considering opposing stances, people are able to strengthen their own through counter-arguments.
사회인지는 사람들에 대한 이해를 뜻합니다. 사회인지, 소셜 커그니션은 사람이 다른 사람들에 대해서 파악해가는 과정입니다. 우리가 다른 사람들에 대해 하는 추론은 그들이 소속하는 범주, 그리고 그들이 말하고 행동하는 것에 기초합니다. 사회인지는 고정관념화, 스테레오타이핑을 가져올 수 있습니다. 사람이 다른 사람들에 대해 그들이 속하고 있는 범주에 관한 지식에 기초해서 추론을 도출하는 과정입니다. 고정관념은 부정확할 수 있습니다. 보거나 들은 것을 통해서 고정관념을 습득합니다. 고정관념은 남용될 수 있는데 우리는 범진의 변산을 과소평가합니다. 고정관념은 무한정 지속될 수 있습니다. 우리는 자신이 지각하기를 기대하는 것을 지각합니다. 자신이 지각하기를 기대하고 있는 것을 실현시킬 수도 있습니다. 고정관념과 대립되는 증거를 대면하면 고정관념을 없애는 것이 아니라 수정하는 경향이 있습니다. 고정관념은 자동화될 수도 있습니다. 무의식적으로 일어납니다. 고정관념의 문제를 해결하기 위해서 이에 반하는 교육이 도움이 될 수 있습니다. 고정관념이 일어나는 이유에 대해서 설명을 듣도록 하겠습니다.
Why do we stereotype? We stereotype because we get used to, at a very young age, seeing the world in terms of categories. Objects, animals, furniture. It's our way of navigating a complicated social universe. We have to rely on a variety of cognitive shortcuts to get through our day. Cognitive shortcuts save us time, save us energy. They also lead us down the road of stereotyping. When we jump to conclusions about an object based on its characteristics, there are very few repercussions. When we jump to conclusions about an individual based on her or his group membership, there are repercussions. People resent that. We don't always make good decisions, and there are real social costs to that. The keys to mitigating stereotyping are first and foremost to acknowledge that it happens and to understand and recognize that even those of us who are motivated to be fair-minded individuals fall victim to stereotyping. Being aware of the process as it plays out is one of the keys to attenuating the tendency to judge others based on.
범주화는 지각을 왜곡시킬 수도 있습니다. 이 실험은 왼쪽에 있는 6개의 선분을 그룹 A와 그룹 B로 나눈 것입니다. 오른쪽에 있는 선분을 보는 사람은 선분 1과 3의 유사성을 과대평가할 수 있고 선분 3과 4의 유사성을 과세평가할 수 있습니다. 범주 명칭은 같은 집단 내에 있는 선분들은 실제보다 더 비슷한 것으로 보이게 만들고 다른 집단에 속해 있는 선분들은 실제보다 더 차이나 보이게 만들 수 있습니다. 연구 결과는 고정관념을 통해서 자기실현적 예언이 실현될 수 있다는 것을 보여줍니다. 시험을 보기 전에 자신의 인종을 쓰게 하면 아프리카계 미국인 학생들의 성적은 실제로 획득해야 맞을 성적보다 낮게 나옵니다. 귀인은 행위로부터 추론을 도출하는 것입니다. 귀인 애트리뷰션은 사람의 행동의 원인에 대한 추리입니다. 상황 귀인 situational attribution은 일이 일어난 상황을 원인으로 판단하는 것입니다. 상황 귀인 situational attribution은 일이 일어난 상황을 원인으로 판단하는 것입니다. 성향 귀인 dispositional attribution은 그 사람의 내적 경향성을 원인으로 판단하는 것입니다. 대응 추리 편파 correspondence bias는 어떤 사람의 행동이 상황에 기인했음에도 불구하고 성향 귀인을 하는 경향입니다. 행위자 관찰자 효과는 Actor Observer Effect라고 하는데 타인의 행동에 대해서는 성향 귀인을 하고 동일한 행동인데도 자신의 행동에 대해서는 상황 귀인을 하는 성향입니다. 다르게 표현하면 다른 사람들의 행동의 원인이 되는 상황 정보보다 우리 자신의 행동이 되는 상황 정보를 더 많이 갖고 있습니다. 예를 들어서 어떤 사람과 약속을 했는데 계속 늦는다면 이를 상황 귀인으로 설명할 수도 있고 성향 귀인으로 설명할 수도 있습니다. 이러한 애트리뷰션에 관한 좀 더 자세한 설명을 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Let's say you meet a new classmate and you agree to meet at a local coffee shop to study. You've met this person at the coffee shop 3 different occasions, and on each occasion the person's late. After the 3rd time the person comes late, you think to yourself that this person is just lazy. Or maybe they're selfish because whatever they're doing must be so much more important than meeting you on time. This is an example of dispositional attribution, because you're explaining the person's behavior from an internal cause, that is, that they're lazy. So dispositional attributions are when we explain other people's behavior as being due to something from within the individual, such as a person's personality, talent, attitude, or motivation. So let's take this example again of a person being repeatedly late to a study session. Perhaps you think the reason why the person is late is because they've gotten caught up at something at work and couldn't leave on time. Or perhaps because there was traffic or the person was home helping their sick mother. If you were to use one of these reasons for explaining the individual's tardiness, then you would be using situational attribution. A situational attribution is when we think that something outside of a person, such as the nature of a situation or circumstance, is the cause of the behavior.
다음은 attribution, attribution error, 그리고 attitude에 대한 설명을 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
Attribution theory states that people attempt to understand others' behavior by assigning feelings, beliefs, and intentions to the person or situation. Sometimes we believe that behavior is due to dispositional attributions, or stable enduring traits. Other times we might consider situational attributions, external factors such as situations, time, and place. The fundamental attribution error is the tendency to overestimate the role of dispositional factors in other people's behavior and to underestimate the role of situational factors. For example, believing your awful roommate failed a test because they're lazy. At the same time, we tend to over-attribute situational factors in our own behaviors. So if we fail a test, it's because the professor is mean or made the test too hard. Much like behavior, attitudes, or stable ways of thinking based on personal evaluation and beliefs, can also be influenced by both situational pressures and internal pressures.
어펜딕스입니다. 지금까지 시청하신 것으로 이번 차트의 수업이 인정됩니다. 사회심리학에서 가장 충격적이고 논란이 되는 실험 중 하나는 스탠포드의 프리즌 익스페리먼트입니다. 이 실험을 설계하고 수행한 교수의 인터뷰를 보도록 하겠습니다.
This experiment will be an extension of my research into the effects prisons can have on human behavior.
You're going to be pleased to know that you all have been chosen to be the prison guards.
But under no circumstances whatsoever are you to physically assault the prisoners in any way.
Why don't you make up your bunk, 8612?
I did, Mr. Correctional Officer.
Well, that's not what I see.
Hey, what are you doing? It's just me now!
The psychological thriller, The Stanford Prison Experiment, opens in theaters Friday based on the true story of the unprecedented behavioral experiment at Stanford University in 1971, in which 24 college students were randomly assigned roles as either prison guards or inmates. And what happened next shocked everyone. Dr. Philip Zimbardo conducted the study and was a consultant on the film, and he joins us now. Welcome, Professor Zimbardo. It's so great to have you here. Going back to the days that you were coming up with the idea for this study, what propelled you?
Well, it was a simple idea, is to what extent is our moral conscience and morality fixed inside of us? I mean, are we good people or bad people despite what's happening around us? Or is that inequality, our character, shaped or misshaped by the situations we're in? And so I wanted to create a situation, an evil setting, like an American prison, in which we're going to populate it with really good, intelligent, normal, healthy college students. And the students we selected who answered ads in the Palo Alto newspaper, which is in California, we gave a battery of psychological tests. We only picked people who are absolutely normal on all dimensions. No sadistic thing, no right. narcissism. And essentially, by randomly assigning them, it meant there was no difference at the beginning. And of course, it's 1971. Nobody wanted to be a guard because guards were pigs. Guards came on college campuses to break up anti-war.
At the beginning, they all said, "Make me a prisoner."
I'd rather be.
I'd rather be.
Yeah.
And then but then the students who were assigned the role of prison guard took to it all too quickly.
Yeah, it was amazing because given that they despised what it meant to be a guard, putting them in a uniform, we had silver reflecting sunglasses, an idea I got from the movie Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman, giving them billy club symbols of power, and then putting them in a place where that power was validated.
And so the experiment was meant to last 2 weeks, but you
right.
had to stop it after 6 days. Why?
Because it got spun out of control, meaning that in 36 hours, the first boy to be arrested, prisoner 8612, had a nervous breakdown in an experiment, meaning screaming, uncontrollable rage, confusion, and then each day thereafter, he became a model of how you get out. So each day thereafter, another prisoner had a breakdown. Initially, I thought he was faking, and so, we had standby, so we replaced him with somebody else, and then somebody broke down, we replaced him. And the problem was that I was transformed as well as the guards and prisoners. Subtly, I became the prison superintendent.
So because you had a role in the experiment, you couldn't stop it right away.
Yeah, if I had only been the principal investigator, the researcher, I would have stopped it when the second prisoner broke down. We proved our point.
Right.
But as prison superintendent, my job was get a replacement, keep the prison integrity going.
Right. And how dramatized is the violence in the film? I'm assuming, as someone who is not very familiar with exactly what happened in your study, that it must be very dramatized for the
Not at all.
Not at all.
No. In fact, the movie is absolutely amazing. Kyle Alvarez, the director, and Tim Talbot, the scriptwriter, did a wonderful transformation. And if anything, the movie omits some of the drama that happened in the study, because we went on for 6 days, and the movie is 2 hours and 2 minutes. So it's a faithful reproduction. If any, I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, the only negative of the movie is some audience are going to be gasping. It's overwhelming.
Well, just in the trailer, you see violence, and so you're sort of wondering. It gets worse. So you're sort of wondering, why don't the researchers jump in right then and there? Billy Crudup plays you in the film, and you want him to beautifully, and you want him to jump in and say enough, but you see a scene where he says, "Wait, let's see where this goes."
Right. Yeah, because
is that ethical?
Oh, no, it's unethical.
It's unethical, okay.
No. I mean, the bottom line, it's unethical because participants suffered much more than they had thought. But now, even in 1971, there was a Stanford University Human Subjects Research Committee. But they could not imagine in foresight anything like this would happen.
So an experiment like that could never be conducted today?
Sadly, never again. In fact, no real behavioral experiments can be done. So much of psychology has now become thought experiments.
Right.
Imagine if you were a guard, what would you do? I'd be a good guard.
Right. But because that sort of role playing is considered unethical now.
Yeah, well, it's unethical because we know what could happen.
Right.
Similarly, the earliest study by Stanley Milgram, he and I were classmates at James Monroe High School in the Bronx in 1949. He's the one who did the study on blind obedience to authority, where people shocked other people.
Right.
So nothing like that can be done again. And what's sad to me is there's really a critical question. What would happen if you had all women? If you had women guards and women prisoners? What would happen if you had minority kids instead of mostly white kids?
We'll never know. But quickly, I want to ask you, prison reform is very much in the news these days. What reforms would you like to see?
Well, guards have to be retrained. I mean, what is guard training? It includes almost no psychology. Being a guard is all about, in a prison, human relationships. How do guards maintain a compassion toward prisoners, even though prisoners have this lowly status? How do you show respect to prisoners who deserve respect? If they broke a law, what it means is they're taken away from the community. Prisons should not be places of punishment, which they are. They should be places of reform. We want these people, men and women in prison. We have 2 million in America. When they get out, we want them to be law-abiding citizens. We want to help them get a good job. We don't have halfway houses to get people who have been in prison for a number of years to acclimate to what it means to be free, and again, to give up the structured life they have been forced to live in a prison.
All right, Professor Zimbardo, fascinating stuff.
Tanya.
Thank you so much for coming to see us today.
Right.